Have you ever woken up already feeling behind? Like you're trying to catch up to a version of yourself that no one else even sees. You're disciplined, focused, hungry. But every day, it feels like a war between who you are and who you know you were meant to become. And no one sees that battle but you. Most men don't fail from a lack of goals. They fail because they forget who they are. And in a world that's constantly shouting what you should be, if you don't speak to yourself with truth, strength and clarity, then the world will do the talking for you. And it won't be kind. That's why this video exists. These are 9 things to tell yourself every single day. Not for hype, not for show, but to anchor you, to remind you, to reset the fire before the world tries to put it out again. Because the wrong silence can cost you your direction, and the right words, repeated daily, can rewire everything. So stay with me. Say these words out loud or in your mind. Let them become your code. And if one of these reminders hits home, drop a comment and tell me which one. Let's build a brotherhood of men who refuse to forget who they really are. Because this isn't content. This is your comeback. Number 1, I am becoming the best, even if no one sees it yet. You wake up before the sun, put your feet on the floor, and step into another day no one will applaud you for. You show up at work when you'd rather disappear. You keep promises no one checks on. You train your body, your habits, your thoughts, not for show, but because you refuse to let the weaker version of you win. And yet, no one sees it. No one notices the way you hold back your frustration when disrespected. No one sees the way you fight off your own doubts in silence. No one sees the moments you could have given up, but didn't. And maybe you've started to wonder, what's the point of being great if no one sees it? Here's the truth. You're not doing this for them. You're doing this because somewhere deep inside, you know the man you've been acting like is not the man you were meant to be. You're not trying to impress. You're trying to reclaim, to rebuild, to become. And that requires a different kind of strength. The kind that doesn't seek validation, but demands internal loyalty. You are the best, not because you're louder, richer, or more popular, but because you've stopped negotiating with weakness. You've stopped lowering your standards to make others comfortable. You've stopped playing small to avoid being misunderstood. That quiet commitment, day after day, is what makes you different. Most people don't believe in a man until he's already won. But the ones who do the work in silence know. You don't become the best when they see it. You become the best when you stop needing them to. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." You don't need a stage. You need a standard. So when no one texts you encouragement, when no one notices your growth, when the world shrugs at your effort, you keep going. Not to prove them wrong, to prove yourself right. Say it quietly. Say it when you're tired. Say it when you're doubting, "I am the best." Not out of ego, but because you've chosen to live like it's true long before anyone else does. Have you ever done the work in silence and felt invisible? Share that moment below. Someone else might need to read it today. Number 2, my limits are lies. I prove them wrong daily. At some point, someone looked you in the eye and told you what you can't do. Maybe it was a teacher, a boss, a parent, or worse, your own voice. They didn't say it with hate. They said it like it was fact. You're not cut out for that. You're not built for more. Stay in your lane. And you believed it? Not all at once, but piece by piece. You started shrinking your dreams to fit their comfort zones. You started measuring your potential by the size of their imagination. And now, you move through life like a man driving with the brakes half pressed. But deep down, a fire remains. Quiet, unruly, waiting. Let me tell you the truth. Limits are rarely real. Most of them are learned, installed by people who quit on themselves and now want you to do the same. But here's what they never taught you. What you give your attention to grows. You feed doubt, and it becomes your cage. But if you feed effort, repetition, and ruthless belief, you'll grow into someone they never saw coming. Epictetus said, "You become what you give your attention to." So the question is, what have you been focusing on? Excuses, old stories, wounds dressed up as truths? Or are you finally ready to stare down the lie that says, you can't? And answer with action? You don't need another motivational quote. You need evidence. Proof that you're stronger than your patterns. And the only way to get that, put yourself in situations that force you to evolve. Wake up earlier than you think you can. Push one rep beyond your comfort. Make the call you've been avoiding. Do the work even when no one's watching. That's how you prove it. Not by announcing your goals, but by doing the hard things so consistently it becomes who you are. Every time you act despite fear, you rip a hole through your old limitations. Every time you choose focus over excuses, you train your nervous system to believe again. Not in hype, but in your ability to do hard things without applause. You're not here to be reasonable. You're here to be relentless. So next time that voice whispers, you can't, don't argue. Don't explain. Just outwork it. Quietly, daily, without mercy. Because limits are not walls. They're invitations. And real men don't run from them. They break through. Number 3, I stay calm, even in the middle of the storm. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's collapsing. When the job is slipping through your fingers, the relationship is hanging by a thread, and your confidence feels like it's bleeding out drop by drop. You show up with a calm face, but behind your eyes, the storm rages. The worst part? No one knows. And maybe no one will. But that's not weakness. That's discipline. That's control. That's the kind of quiet strength most men will never be taught to honor. You see, anyone can be calm when the sun is shining. Anyone can smile when their bank account is full and the world claps for their victories. But you're not just here for that. You're here to lead yourself through the chaos, to walk through fire and not flinch, to move like a man who's already decided this storm will not define him. That doesn't mean you fake it. It means you command yourself in the middle of the mess. Because real composure doesn't come from things getting easier. It comes from you getting harder to break. Seneca said, "The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it." And you are in it, not above it, not beyond it, but in it, and still standing. It's not about pretending the storm isn't real. It's about refusing to let it shake your foundation. So even when your plans fall apart, your posture doesn't. Even when you feel overlooked, you don't overreact. Even when the ground beneath you shifts, you stay rooted. That's not delusion. That's leadership. Starting with yourself. Every time you act with clarity in the middle of confusion, you set a new standard for your identity. Every time you respond with calm instead of chaos, you remind yourself, I am not a slave to circumstance. I am a steward of my state. So when the pressure hits, don't shrink. Don't broadcast your pain. Don't beg the world to understand your chaos. Let them see a man who walks steady, not because life is perfect, but because his mind is practiced. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you untouchable. You don't need the storm to pass before you rise. You rise. And that's how it passes, Number 4. I build in silence. Every single day. Most people want to be seen building. They want to post the workouts, share the plans, announce the change. But the truth? The strongest men you'll ever meet are the ones you rarely hear from. Not because they're hiding, but because they're too focused on becoming. They've traded the dopamine of being noticed for the discipline of becoming undeniable. And that's where you are now. Quiet, focused, building. There's no thrill in showing up at 5 a.m. when the gym is empty. There's no applause when you choose chicken and rice over comfort food. No camera when you read instead of scrolling, budget instead of splurge. Choose self-respect over momentary escape. But this is where men are made. In the repetition, no one claps for. In the silence between progress and proof, you've probably felt the pull to show people, to prove that you're improving. But Marcus Aurelius said it best. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. And that's your mission now. To become so consistent, so focused, so rooted in your own process that your results speak long after your mouth has gone silent. When you build daily, you don't need hype. You don't need the announcement. You don't even need the belief of others. You become your own momentum. Your actions compound in the dark. Your routine becomes sacred. And one day, without realizing it, you've crossed a threshold. You no longer hope for change. You've become it. Most men chase motivation. High value. Men chase momentum. They know the days they don't feel like showing up are the days that define who they're becoming. And that's you now. You don't just keep promises. You live them. Quietly, relentlessly, daily. You'll start to notice the difference, not in noise, but in control, in clarity, in how you speak less and do more, in how you walk into a room not needing to announce a thing because your energy already has. That's not ego. That's earned gravity, built in private, layer by layer. So don't rush to reveal. Don't race to impress. Just keep stacking days. Let the work speak. Let the silence compound. Because when it's all said and done, you won't need to tell the world who you are. They'll already feel it. Number 5. I outwork the version of me that quits. He still lives inside you. The version of you that gives up. The one who hits snooze instead of rising. The one who talks himself out of discomfort, justifies his excuses, and promises he'll start again on Monday. He knows your weak points because he is you. Or at least, he was. And every day, you wake up with a choice. Outwork him, or become him again. There's no enemy more dangerous than the past version of yourself who's comfortable being average. He whispers things that sound reasonable. It's okay to rest. You've done enough today. No one will notice if you skip this one. But that's how he wins. Not in grand collapses, but in subtle negotiations. The erosion of momentum dressed up as self-care. But you've changed. You've seen what that path leads to. Shame disguised as peace. Comfort that decays your ambition. And now you train not just for strength, but for separation. Every rep you finish, every hour you focus, every task you complete when it's inconvenient. That's a brick in the wall that keeps him out. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." And that's the truth most men run from. Pain isn't the enemy. Discomfort isn't the threat. Avoiding the challenge is what keeps you chained to who you used to be. And if you want to leave that man behind, you must earn your exit daily. There is no shortcut, no hack, just a quiet war against the version of you who still wants the easy way out. And the only way to win that war, work. Daily. even when you're tired. Especially when you're tired, because fatigue is where the old you waits, and pushing through it is how the new you is born. You don't owe the world an explanation. You owe that former self a funeral. One task at a time, one silent morning at a time, one painful rep, one hard conversation, one disciplined hour. Not loud, not pretty, but yours. And when the doubt creeps in again, and it will, don't panic. Just remember, he's still trying to come back, and you're still here to bury him. Number 6, I don't give excuses. I give evidence. You've told yourself 100 reasons why it didn't work out, why you're not where you want to be, yet why now isn't the right time. You've blamed the circumstances, the timing, the people who didn't support you, the opportunities that never came, and maybe for a while those excuses made sense. Maybe they even protected your pride. But here's the truth you've always known and never said out loud. Excuses are just elegant lies. You sell yourself to stay comfortable, and you're done being comfortable. Because comfort never gave you results. It never made you stronger. It never rewired your mind or your body. It just numbed the guilt for a little longer. What builds you now is action. Proof. Data. Evidence. No more, I'll try. No more, we'll see. No more waiting for motivation or momentum to show up. You move with intent now, not emotion. You don't need another pep talk. You need receipts. You need to look at the end of your day and see, did I show up? Did I deliver? Did I make this version of me undeniable? Marcus Aurelius said, "A man who has committed a mistake and doesn't correct it is committing another." That's the line you draw today. No more delay between self-awareness and self-correction. You don't just see your gaps, you close them. You don't just acknowledge your bad habits, you bury them. Because knowing the problem isn't power, solving it is. You're not going to talk about changing anymore. You're going to create evidence that you've already begun. You're going to become the kind of man whose habits can testify on his behalf. And when someone asks what changed, you won't need to explain it. You'll just point to the results, to the consistency, to the quiet trail of completed tasks, rising standards, and hours no one saw you give. That's the new language of progress, measured not in promises, but in patterns. So if there's a voice still trying to sell you a story about why you can't, cut it off. Mid-sentence. You're done explaining your failure. From this point forward, your life speaks for itself. Not in theory, not in dreams. Just action. Just proof. Just the kind of discipline that doesn't defend itself, it delivers. If you're done explaining and ready to start showing, type "no more excuses" in the comments to seal it in. Number 7, I was built for more, and I won't shrink. You've felt it your whole life. That quiet pull toward more, not more fame, more noise, more attention, but more meaning, more weight, more responsibility. Something bigger than just getting by, playing safe, checking boxes. And even when the world around you told you to settle, to be grateful, to stop reaching, you couldn't. Because somewhere deep inside you know, you weren't built to be average. You were built to carry something heavy, to become someone no one else could. But life has a way of beating that out of men, one disappointment at a time, one betrayal, one failure, one moment of being overlooked when you gave everything, and eventually you start telling yourself, maybe this is it. Maybe this quiet, hollow version of living is all there is. But it's not. It never was. You don't feel restless because you're broken. You feel restless because your soul is still awake. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." You were never meant to live small. Not because you're better than anyone, but because shrinking yourself to fit someone else's idea of realistic is spiritual suffocation. You don't want easy. You want meaningful. You don't want praise. You want legacy. And the only way to build that is to stop waiting for the world to assign you a purpose and start walking like you already have one. You don't need to figure it all out today. You don't need the whole plan. You just need to stop betraying that fire inside you. Stop numbing it with distractions. Stop silencing it with routine. Every man who ever did something extraordinary started with that same whisper. There's something more for me. The only difference is they listened. So when doubt creeps in, when you feel small, invisible, tired of holding the line while everyone else coasts, remember this: you weren't built for ease. You were built for impact. And impact requires weight, pressure, purpose. That's why it feels heavy. Because it's meant for you. You don't need to chase the spotlight. You just need to carry the mission quietly, daily, with your head down and your eyes up. Because the man you're becoming isn't waiting to be chosen. He's already chosen himself. Number 8. Other people's opinions don't decide my life. You've spent too much time wondering what they think, adjusting your words so you don't sound too intense, diluting your ambition so you don't make them uncomfortable, holding back your truth just to avoid one more sideways glance or passive remark. And what did it get you? Did it buy you peace? Did it buy you freedom? Or did it leave you resentful, half alive, and quietly frustrated that you're still being shaped by people who don't live your life? Here's the truth. Most opinions are noise. Uninformed, unearned, and uninvested. They don't know what it costs you to show up every day. They didn't carry what you carried, lose what you lost, or rebuild what you had to rebuild. And yet they still feel entitled to comment. Why? Because weak people always feel safest when strong men stay small. But that's not who you are anymore. You're not here to be palatable. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be real, grounded, relentless. And none of that requires approval. The only voice that gets to shape your direction now is the one inside you. Everyone else is just passing commentary. They don't pay your bills. They don't carry your stress. They don't live with your decisions. So why should they have power over your path? Epictetus said, "If someone does wrong, it is because they think it is right." Their judgment isn't about you. It's about them, their bias, their fear, their lens. You've spent years dancing for audiences that never even knew your name. That ends now. You don't need to explain your grind to anyone who doesn't understand the weight you carry. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt. Let them laugh. Your peace is not up for negotiation. What is? Your work ethic, your integrity, your next decision. The results you build while they keep talking, that's where your energy belongs. Not in defending your dreams to people who gave up on theirs. So from this point forward, when opinions come, let them. Smile if you want. Stay silent if you must. But never shrink. Never justify. You've got rent to pay, standards to uphold, a legacy to build, and none of that requires permission. Let the world talk. You've got things to do. Number 9. Time is running. I act now, not later. You think you have time? You think tomorrow will give you another chance. That next week you'll finally start. That someday you'll feel ready. But what no one tells you is that someday doesn't exist. The clock doesn't wait for your clarity. Life doesn't pause while you figure it out. And every time you delay your discipline, your purpose, your evolution, time quietly robs you of a future you were supposed to live. You weren't born to wait. You weren't built to stall. You weren't given breath just to coast. You were created to move, to build, to act with urgency, not with panic, but with presence. Because this moment, right now, is the only one you're guaranteed, and it's slipping through your hands whether you use it or not. You've seen what wasting time feels like. The shame, the regret, the what-if conversations that haunt you at night. You don't need another one. You don't need another year of excuses wrapped in comfort. You need fire. You need structure. You need a reason that's bigger than your fear. And the moment you realize that time is not a luxury but a currency, you start spending it with precision. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think, not as a warning, but as a weapon, a tool to cut through the noise and bring you back to what matters. You're not too late, but you are running out of later. And if you don't choose to act with urgency, life will choose for you. So what are you waiting for? The right mood, the right people, the perfect conditions? They're not coming. But you can. You can show up today. You can take one uncomfortable step, one unfinished task, one hard conversation. You can begin, and once you begin, you don't stop. You don't slow down to check who's watching. You don't ask for permission. You use the time you have before it's taken from you. You don't need motivation. You need a wake-up call. This is it. This is your life. This is your shot. Don't waste it preparing to begin. Begin. Right now, before the clock makes the decision for you. High value is a lifestyle, not a label. Being high value is not about looking the part. It's not about how you dress, what you drive, or who compliments you. It's about what you repeat when no one's there. It's about your choices when it's dark, boring, exhausting, and invisible. Anyone can pretend for a day. You're not here for that. You're here to embody something too real to fake. That means you don't just talk about boundaries. You hold them. You don't just want peace. You protect it. You don't wait for confidence. You build it, hour by hour, through repetition and restraint. You keep the promises no one asks about. You get up when the bed feels like a trap. You finish what you start, not because someone's watching, but because the standard you've set is no longer negotiable. That's what makes you different. Not noise, not image, structure, grit, inner order, quiet resolve. There's no performance here, no need to explain. You're not seeking a title. You're enforcing a standard that lives in your bones. And over time, that standard speaks louder than any introduction ever could. You'll walk into rooms and feel it in your spine. I don't need to prove anything. I've already lived it. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what makes you trustworthy. And that's why you'll outlast the men who tried to fake what you've bled for. Keep showing up when it's cold. Keep training when no one cares. Keep building even when it's boring. High value isn't a lifestyle you advertise. It's a fire you tend in private. And the men who live like this don't need recognition. The results walk in before they do. If you've made it this far, then you already know. This isn't just about motivation. It's about transformation. Quiet, daily, relentless. You're not watching this because you need hype. You're watching this because something in you refuses to stay where you are. And here's the truth. Every time you act on what you've learned here, You're not only upgrading your own life, you're making these insights accessible to men just like you. Men who are tired of being ignored, tired of shrinking themselves, tired of living a life they don't recognize. This is more than a video. It's a signal. A quiet rallying cry for men who are rebuilding in silence, for men who carry their storms alone, for men who don't want pity, just precision, strength, truth, direction. And if that's you, if this message speaks to something deeper than words, then join us. Not just by subscribing, but by committing to the mindset, to the mission, to the version of you that refuses to be average. Because when you share this, when you stay, when you engage, you're not just feeding the algorithm, you're building a brotherhood. One that's built on action, not approval, on values, not vanity. And the world needs more of that, now more than ever. So, walk with us, silently, steadily, powerfully. We're not trying to impress the world, we're trying to change what men expect of themselves. And if that resonates, you already know what to do.